We're trying to... What? We have made contact with our CBS announcer again. So, over to Columbus.
One of the prisoners here describing in his own words what's going on. The fire in this wing before me, the one in which the 150 prisoners are trapped in their locked cells, this fire, it's completely out of control. The firemen are pulling away. The wall's beginning to go. The roof. You can see the bars. You can see them. This is terrible. This is terrible. Nothing anybody can do. The wall. The wall. The wing is collapsed. It's down. All down. The batter's lost. I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
April 21st, 1930. The Ohio State Penitentiary burns. CBS is there.
You're worried. There's a new frightening word. Depression. You're afraid you'll lose your job, afraid your bank will fail. You're afraid they'll take away your house, your farm. It seems as though the country is crumbling. But out of the rain...
This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly. Nor need we shrink from honestly facing conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive, and will prosper. So, first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified...
March 4th, 1933. The first inaugural. CBS is there.
You are at peace, but the other side of the world is at war. You are a worker in the arsenal for democracy, a soldier in training, a parent dreading the inevitable. You search your very soul. You ask, what's all the shooting about? And you get the answer.
In the future days, which we seek to make secure, we look forward to a world founded upon 4 essential human freedoms. The first is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. The third is freedom from want, which translated into world terms means economic understandings which will secure to every nation a healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. The fourth is freedom from fear, which translated into world terms means a worldwide reduction...
January 6th, 1941. A message to Congress. CBS is there.
And now you are staggering from a cowardly attack. You're all fury and dedication to what lies ahead, and 140 million of you speak with one voice.
I believe I interpret the will of the Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make very certain that this form of treachery shall never endanger us again. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounded determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph. So help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, a state of war...
December 8th, 1941. The war message. CBS is there.
Now the guns are speaking, tearing apart the fabric of your life. Now you are at war. There are oceans between you and your son and father and brother. It's Christmas. But there are empty places at your holiday table, voices missing from the carols you long to hear. And radio is there to knit you and them together again.
Broadcast of Transatlantic Call, people to people. There's time for just one more shortwave conversation today. Kenneth Collins, 14, a fine, red-headed, freckle-faced American boy, wants to speak to his father in London. Is he there?
Here he is, right in front of me. Go ahead, Colonel Collins.
Hello, Dad.
Yes. My gracious. Your voice has dropped so, about a whole octave.
Well, almost. Yes.
What are you now, the head of the family?
Yes, just about.
Well, are you so big that you can wear all my clothes?
Oh, yes. When you come home, there'll be just about one moth-eaten pair of trousers left.
Oh, my. Oh, my. I hoped you'd got so big that you couldn't wear them at all.
Oh, I will be soon.
Is your mother there?
What's that, Dad? What?
I say, is your mother there?
Oh, she's out in the studio, and she sends all her love, and so does Sidney.
Well, is she just as beautiful as the day I went away?
Oh, yes.
Then can you feel just the way I do?
Yes, Dad,
Tell me, Kenny, how's the baby?
Oh, she's fine.
Did she pull over the Christmas tree yesterday?
No, not quite.
That's right.
Just about, though.
Yes, you used to do that.
I did?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Dad.
How's your behavior at school?
What's that?
Your behavior. How is your behavior?
Oh, fine.
Is it as good as mine was at your age?
I hope so.
Well, every generation is supposed to get a little better than the one before.
Well, I couldn't be much better.
Oh. Well, Kenny, our time's getting short.
Dad, I guess...
The Scotch people here have a very, very lovely way of saying goodbye.
Yes?
Yes, they always say, God bless. I want to say God bless to you, to Mother, little Sidney, all your grandparents, and it comes from the bottom of my heart, son.
Well, goodbye, Dad. And come home soon.
I wish we didn't have to, but our transatlantic family reunion is just about over.
Christmas
Before we go,
1943, New York and London. CBS is there.
You know it has to come sometime. You know it must come. You know we have to start the road back to where they began because it will never be over unless we hit their own beachheads. And then while you're waiting, wondering when it will come, where it will come, it does come, and you are there.
This is London. Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
This is London again. Actual recordings made across the channel during the invasion landings in the last few hours are beginning to come in from the war correspondents representing the combined American networks. We're going to play one of those recordings for you now. An actual recording, not a recreation. It was made at daybreak by George Hicks on an American warship off the coast of France under attack by Nazi planes.
Our own ship has just gave its warning whistles, and now the flak is coming up in the sky. Here we go again. Another plane's come over. Right over our port side. Trains are making an arc right over our bow now. And disappearing into the clouds before they burst. Baker's still going up. And now the plane has probably gone beyond. Looks like we're going to have a night tonight. Get it there, Barney. Another one coming over. Let it cruise right alongside of it. Pouring up. Stream of the spacer. Hot fire coming out of all the small ships. The large as well. falling down through the sky and circling down, raising a hit plane. There we go. They got one. They got one. This gun right here. Did we? Yeah. This one? Great blotch of fire came down in the smoldering now, just off our port side in the sea. Smoke and flame there. You said it. We've had a few minutes pause. The lights of that burning Nazi plane are just twinkling now in the sea and going out. When the traces start coming in.
June 6th, 1944. D-Day. CBS is there.
1945, 1931, 1930, 1943, years of radio, the listening years, when the sounds of the world you live in began to come alive, to come into your own living room, your office, your car, ranging you with the great and epic moments of history, seating you at the ringside in the grandstand on the 50-yard line, making you neighbor and confidant of kings and cabinets, thrusting you suddenly and dramatically into the heat of breaking news, giving your government a voice and you a greater voice in government, to carry you on the worldwide waves of battle to victory and into the nervous tides of peace. And now, the very now, at this instant, while you wonder what the sound of tomorrow will be, CBS is where tomorrow is coming to be, where the news is breaking. CBS is there today, now.
This is Robert Lewis speaking to you from the caucus room of the Senate Office Building in Washington. This is the second day of the reopened Hughes hearings. Committee Chairman Ferguson of Michigan is questioning an Air Forces official about the highly controversial F-11, the Hughes photo reconnaissance plane. The hearings, both yesterday and today, have been drab and dull compared to the wild scenes we saw in August when Howard Hughes, Johnny Meyer, and Elliott Roosevelt were in the witness chair. On the stand now is Brigadier General J.F. Phillips, wartime chief of the Materiel Division of the U.S. Army Air Forces. As we pick up the testimony by tape recording, Senator Ferguson is speaking to General Phillips.
Did you discuss any men in public life about the plane?
Oh, yes.
Who?
In the history of the plane, quite some time before that, there was a note from, as I recall, signed FDR, what is there in this airplane? Not the F-11, that was the D-2, as I recall.
Yeah, but the history of it. The history of this plane. Well, did you discuss that with the group?
I expect I mentioned that.
Well, then it could have been that Riley...
And so went the Hughes investigation today here in Washington. There was more news at the United Nations. For that, here's Larry Lasser in New York.
This is Larry Lasser. At the United Nations here at Lake Success today, Britain's Sir Harvey Shawcross speaks on the proposal for the so-called Little Assembly.
Can one imagine Mr. Wyszynski getting up in court and addressing the tribunal and saying, "Gentlemen of the jury, this prisoner is guilty. Evidence, don't let's bother about evidence. Pravda says he's guilty. TASS proclaims he's guilty. Documentary proof, gentlemen, this is a farce. I say he is guilty. He is flagrantly guilty. Off with his head. Off to Siberia."
The chairman, Joseph Bech of Luxembourg, then recognizes the delegate of the Soviet Union, Andrei Wyszynski.
Такими, знаете ли, ласковыми, обвораживающими глазами удав смотрит на кровь.
His gray head bobbing up and down, Mr. Wyszynski vigorously declares his opposition to the formation of the so-called Little Assembly. I'm listening to the English translation over my earphone. Mr. Wyszynski is comparing Mr. Shawcross to a snake. A snake, which he says transfixes a rabbit with its magnetic eyes and says, "Won't you let me embrace you?" Then crushes the rabbit. But, says Mr. Wyszynski, Mr. Shawcross has miscalculated. Mr. Shawcross does not have the magnetic eyes of a boa constrictor, and Russia is not a rabbit. And so the international debate goes on another day.